Okay, let's talk about open enrollment. It can feel like you're trying to find your way through a maze, right? You're getting bombarded with ads, official-looking mail, and it's hard to know who's actually on your side. Well, in this explainer, we're going to cut through all that noise and help you figure out how to find a guide you can really trust.
And look, the stakes here are really, really high. Just take a look at this comment from a reader. You can just feel the frustration. The plan that seemed totally fine on paper completely fell apart right when they needed it the most. It's such a powerful reminder that this isn't just about paperwork. We're talking about your health and your financial security.
So how do people end up in that kind of situation? Well, a lot of the time it starts with these really common, simple mistakes. You assume your doctor's still in network, but guess what? Networks change all the time. Or you don't check your prescriptions, and that pill that cost you $15 last year suddenly costs $100. And maybe the biggest one of all? Just sticking with your old plan because it's easy. That can be a recipe for disaster.
And all this complexity, all the marketing, it really just brings us to the most important question of all. In this maze of confusing options and endless ads, who can you actually trust? Who is truly your advocate?
All right, so to answer that, let's meet the potential guides you're going to run into out there. Understanding the difference between them is honestly the first and most important step to making a smarter choice. First up, you've got what's called a captive agent. Think of those big, familiar names you see on TV all the time. These agents work for one specific insurance company and one company only. They can only sell you products from that company's menu. That's it.
Next up, there's the direct insurer. This is basically the DIY route. You're buying your policy straight from the company, either online or maybe over the phone with a call center. There's no local agent, you're just dealing directly with the big company itself.
And finally, you have the independent agent, who you might also hear called a broker. Now, these folks are different. They don't work for any single insurance company. Instead, they have contracts with lots of different carriers, which means they can actually shop around for you and compare all the options. Okay, so we know who they are, but how do they actually operate? What's their playbook? Because, it's not just about who you talk to, it's about their entire business model and really who they answer to at the end of the day.
This table really lays it out perfectly. With a captive agent or a direct insurer, your choice is limited to one company. One. But look at that second line, who they represent. This is the absolute game changer. Both the captive and direct models represent the insurance company. An independent agent, on the other hand, represents you.
Yeah, let's just boil this down to one word: loyalty. For a captive agent or a direct insurer, their loyalty has to be to the company that signs their paychecks. Their job is to sell that company's products. But an independent agent's success is completely tied to finding the right fit for you, because their primary loyalty is to their client.
And you know what? This isn't just some nice-sounding marketing promise. For an independent broker, it's a legal and ethical standard. It's called a fiduciary duty. Now, that's a fancy term, but all it really means is they are legally required to act in your best interest. That's a huge deal. Captive agents who work for the insurance company, they simply don't have that same legal obligation to you.
And that idea of being an advocate, man, that becomes so important when you actually need to use your insurance. When you have a claim, an independent agent is the one who's in your corner, guiding you, talking to the insurance company for you, and just helping make a really stressful time a little bit easier. Okay, so let's bring this all together. How does this help you win the game and actually make the best choice for you? How do you use this knowledge to avoid all those expensive pitfalls we talked about at the beginning?
So, what does having a real advocate actually look like in practice? Well, they can shop multiple carriers to find a plan that your specific doctor accepts. They'll compare all the different drug lists to make sure your prescriptions are actually covered affordably, and this is huge. They analyze the total cost, not just the flashy monthly premium, but the deductibles, the copays, the whole shebang, to see which plan really saves you the most money.
Now, this whole conversation is especially critical when we start talking about Medicare, and specifically Medicare Advantage plans. You see the ads for them everywhere, right? But they come with some serious trade-offs. We're seeing more and more hospitals dropping these plans because of something called prior authorization. That's where the insurance company has to approve your care beforehand, which can lead to delays or even denials. And then there's the Medigap trap. It's a real problem. If you start on an MA plan and want to switch back to traditional Medicare later, getting a supplemental Medigap policy can be a lot harder and way more expensive.
So as you head into open enrollment, just remember, you don't have to wander through this maze all by yourself. It all comes down to one simple question. When your health and your financial security are on the line, who do you want
in your corner.